Okay, with the battery set up, we will go ahead and power the servo so that we can set the horn on at the correct angle so that it operates properly in Squeezy. So we'll go ahead and get out our pre-soldered harness, and there's our Malinky, so you can see how it comes in. Power comes from the battery and the switch across the top, and we've got our servo connector and our motor connectors. And at this stage, we're just going to get the servo powered, because when the radio is controlling it, that will control the angle, and then we can put the horn on at the correct place and proceed with the build. So the first thing to do is we'll check that the switch is off, and we'll connect the battery. Then as far as the servo, so servo connectors are always signal, power, ground. On this one, it's yellow, red, brown. It could be white, red, black, but you always want to make sure that when you're connecting a servo that you make it correct on both sides. Sometimes there's features that prevent you from getting it wrong, but we'll make sure that for this one we are yellow, red, brown on both. So yellow to yellow, brown to brown, powered off, and really it generally doesn't hurt them anyway. If you do put it backwards, they just don't work. So anyway, we're yellow to yellow, brown to brown, and then we will, with the LEDs visible on the Malinky, go ahead and making sure that we don't have any metal to metal contact anywhere we shouldn't, we'll go ahead and turn on the switch. So you can see that the red LED came on solid, which means that this Malinky is bound to a radio. If you bought a pre-soldered kit and a radio and charger from us, it should be bound to that radio. So we'll go ahead and grab the radio, and when we turn this on, we'll see that that went to flickering blue. So it went to flickering blue because it is bound to this radio, and because the Malinky was powered for 5 seconds or more before turning on the connected radio or the bound radio, it's in configuration mode. So in configuration mode, we could send it some pulses on channel 5 to change the configuration of the Malinky itself, and the servo is not yet reactive. And to get it out of configuration mode, we could power cycle the Malinky, because then it would come on already connected and it would go right into drive mode. Or as soon as we touch the motor stick, it will take the Malinky out of configuration mode and put it in drive mode. So the motors will jump and the servo will jump when I move the motor stick. So you can actually see those motors moving. And then with the servo, so on the servo, on all servos pretty much, there's a spline. So the spline is this part with the metal, kind of like a gear that sticks off with the teeth. And those teeth, that spline, is what lets the servo move the arm. So I can see that that's moving. And in Squeezy, what we'll do is with the switch down, that's arms open. I'll set that aside for the moment. And in general, the KSTs come with this servo horn screw installed, and it's just finger tight. So don't lose it. It's kind of a unique thread, and they're hard to replace. So putting that somewhere that I'm not going to lose it. We have our horn that is already modified and prepped to go on. What we're looking for is to go just past vertical. So as in, if this is horizontal as the servo will mount in the bot, see like that, what we want is switch down normal settings, it to be just further clockwise from vertical. And then when I go switch up, we want it to get back to near horizontal. So again, switch down to be slightly clockwise of vertical, and sorry, that was left stick down. So left stick down, slightly clockwise of vertical, and then stick up, we want it to be near horizontal. So that looks like a good position to me. If anything, we could possibly go one spline further clockwise, and we can always just take a look at that. So if I'm thinking that I might want it a little bit further, when I pop this off, I'll go one spline. So that is clearly even further clockwise than vertical. And that will get down to there. So to give you an idea of what I'm looking at here is in the bot, we want to make sure that it can get to the point. Well, make that be quiet. There we go. We want to make sure that it can get further clockwise from vertical. And then when the arms are all the way up, we want to make sure that the link can go sub-level. So as you can kind of see in there, that's a pretty good point. Like I said, it's getting down towards horizontal. Not going to be an easy way to see that angle in there. But we know that the furthest forward that we could want is that. And the radios come set at 100% on high and low. And you can go beyond that 100%. So right now, that's as far that way as it can go, but it could actually go a little bit further with the endpoint. So I'm going to go with this position. So now that I've got the horn installed and it's clicked all the way on there, I can go ahead and lower that stick back down, and actually I'll go ahead and turn off my harness, and I'll turn off the radio so that it doesn't start making noise. And then we can go ahead and install that screw that we've been careful not to lose into the servo horn. And this is one of the few Phillips screws in the whole kit. So now that I've turned off the servo, it will rotate freely. So as I tighten this in, I will be holding it with my fingers. Now this is a steel screw going into a steel spline, and it all of the power of the weapon goes through this servo. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down pretty snug. Like, you don't go nuts on it, but again, it's steel into steel, so you can get pretty tight with it. So there we go. That is our servo set up for Squeezy.